Shaar Aleph, Perek Yud Zayin. And what we talked about so far was that the union of tshuva is a realignment of nefesh, ruach, neshama. Nefesh being here, neshama being there, ruach being in between, and that we're realigning because when you realign, so then vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim, so the breath of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the nishmas chayim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually reaches us. No holes in the pipe, no misalignment to the pipe. Nefesh, ruach, neshama. It's like, somebody like in the Nefesh Hachaim's mashal, Chazal's mashal, or somebody blowing glass. Could you imagine that that he's blowing the glass, but the material that he's using to make the glass out of is somewhere else, So tshuva is you put the sand or the right there at the end of the pipe, and vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim. So that's all. And then we spoke about the shorish haneshama and what that means. We learned about Sukkim and Daniel and how he interpreted the Nebuchadnezzar's dream, etc. And so that was all easy. And today, the Reb Chaim starts speaking about inyanim of Kabbalah. Which in a way I feel like skipping, but on another way I feel like we shouldn't skip, because if he's saying it, he's saying it for a reason. He knew he was writing it for people like us. So now that we understand that nefesh, ruach, neshama needs to be lined up, so let's understand it on a more sophisticated level. V'ha'inyan in Perek Yud Zayin. V'ha'inyan ki yadua. Let's go lefi hasagosenu, what we could understand here. At least diagrammatically speaking, just at least from a.
I apologize for interrupting. We had said we were going to try to explain Hasaga.
Yeah, we'll get to that. It's going to be easier. Ve'inyan ki yadua b'seder ishtalshlus ha'olamas, that it's known that whenever he says it's known, it means we don't know it. Yadua ki b'seder ishtalshlus ha'olamas. Okay, so this is where he speaks Kabbalistically, that there are, I'll try to explain it as best I can, as best I understand, that there is 4 worlds, Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya. Atzilus, as I've said many times, is closest to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Asiya is our world. And in between there's a world of Bria and Yitzira. So let's understand it and let's look at it as Hashem decides to create the world. Every minute this happens. Hashem decides to create the world. The world is in the world of Atzilus. The Bria starts to take some form. Yitzira starts to take more form. And Asiya, it's the world that we know and the world that we live in. So when Hashem's creating the world, He's always creating it Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya. Now we can just live in the world of Asiya and forget about all this, but Chaval, because if you live in the world of Asiya and you forget about it all, so then you don't understand, like you're an end user. So everything that you understand deeper, how the mechanism works, so you can get a better use out of the thing itself once you understand what's really happening over here. So then you don't need to be only an end user. We could have a hasaga as to how the whole thing happens. I don't know, we're not used to that really, because you use a computer, you don't need to know how it works really, right? But if you do, you get much more out of it. Or a better example is your body. Like you could just live, physically I'm talking about your health. You could just live, or if you understand how, as an example, how nutrition fuels the body. And I'm thinking about this recently. Watch Betty Gedolim eat. And it's a question of how do I fuel my body. It's not a question of what I like, or I like this recipe, I like that recipe. It's not that I'm not talking about doesn't taste good, but you see different Gedolim eat. They have different, like, what does it take to make their olam asiya work? The Lubavitcher Rebbe, Olav Shalom. So Yodua that all he ate all day, from the time he woke up until dinner time, was Smirling 79% chocolate and hot milk. So it means to say 79% is very little sugar in it, and it's chocolate. Chocolate's bad, so it's a healthy thing. Grows from grows from the ground. It's healthy. So and it has a lot of amylose to it, and milk is milk, so the calcium. So I mean, obviously he worked out. I'm not giving a prescription here, nutritional information. I'm just saying it's an interesting thing that he worked out. Like, what does he need to get through a very hectic day? For him to be, how do you be a Rebbe? So like, it's hectic. He's dealing with millions of people, thousands of people, and millions of dollars, and building moistness all over the world. So it's all about that Smirling 79%. And hot milk somehow. Then he went home, had dinner. That's why. What was he gonna do it? Should do it.
What did he have for dinner?
What do you have for dinner? Lubavitcher Rebbe, who I knew, so to speak, was was a very private person. So nobody ever knew exactly what was going on at anything. But what was known from the secretaries is that he never had any food, and it was always, this Smirling 79. And I was talking to the guy, Smirling, who's the guy who lives in Switzerland. His son is a Rav in Lubavitcher. So Smirling's Lubavitcher. So in Switzerland, that this guy felt he had the schutz, Mr. Smirling in Switzerland, to send the Rebbe all of his chocolate. He said it was a lot of chocolate. A lot of chocolate. It was a big undertaking, to send the Rebbe his chocolate. It's the only one he ate, by the way, Shmerling. Me too. So, what am I saying? I'm saying is that you can live in the world of Asiya, but to understand how things work and how you fuel it is going to make a difference in your health, in your car, in your computer, and also in the world of Ruchnius. How did everything get to where it got to? So we know everything starts, and this is what I want to go into a little bit, Lefi Hasagasenu, that where everything starts in the world of Atzilus, it goes to the world of Bria, it goes to the world of Yitzhak, it goes to the world of Asiya. And
there's also Indian by not compared to computers, the body, to know Hashem, like to know the
Stop to know. V'yadatas Hashem Elokecha. I'm sure there's an Indian, but I'm talking about even, Shalei Lishma. Just V'yadatas Hashem. Yeah. So now he's saying a bigger chiddush, that besides for the fact that everything comes in a process of four, Atzilus, Bria, Yitzir, Asiya, what's important to know is that the top of every world is connected to the bottom of the world before. It's all connected. So think of it as a pipe. There's an interface. So the world of Asiya that we live in is connected on the top to the world of Yitzira. The world of Yitzira is connected on top to Bria, and Bria is connected to Atzilus. So far, so good, right? So let's look at the word. If you work downwards, it's connecting starts from the top, from Hashem, let's say, and works its way down, connects to the next world, then works its way down, connects to the next world. And if it's not connected, the wind escapes. So it's interesting to hear that the Vayipach Ba'ap of Nishmas Chaim goes all the way through this. Vayipach Ba'ap of Nishmas Chaim, Man Nafach, Medileika Nafach, means everything starts from the top, and the Naficha itself, the Vayipach itself, goes through all of these Olamas. That's where I'm getting my life from. And now our job, don't forget, is to align all this, and that's what he calls tshuva. Vayin Zayar, Vayikra Yudam Beis, this is my portion of Zayar. Dechula Alman Miskashin Da B'da 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 Kai Shalshelas Diskasher Da B'da. Easy, right? That all of the worlds that we're talking about, 4 worlds they're Miskashin Da B'da. One is Miskasher, they're connected. See, the importance of them being connected is that there's access and there's relevance, that there's to a higher world, and you can keep on going. Kahai Shalshelas Diskasher Da B'da, just like a chain. Diskasher Da B'da. It's connected, one piece, one link to the next. V'chayadua b'chisvei Arizal, and then the Arizal takes it a step further, explaining the Zayar. And he says, "Shechitzonius malchus shel kol olam u'partzuf, nasa pnimius keser la'olam u'partzuf shebetachtav." I just want to tell you something that when I wrote the book Spheros, I gave it originally to the publisher, Judaica Press. So he said, we don't publish Kabbalah. So it's not Kabbalah. There's no Kabbalah. It's Spheros. So he says, to me, it sounds like Kabbalah, Spheros, Kabbalah. That's just Spheros right away. Kabbalah. We don't do Kabbalah. So it's supposed to say sefer. So we're going back and forth. It is Kabbalah. It's not Kabbalah. So their posek there is Reb David Feinstein, Shalita. Reb David Feinstein, he said, come back on Tuesday. Reb David Feinstein comes here every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. So I came back on Tuesday, and Reb David Feinstein came in. Every Tuesday he goes, has coffee at Judaica Press, and he paskins all their shilas for the week. So I came, and the question was, is this Kabbalah or not Kabbalah? So he looks at it and he says, Spheros is not Kabbalah. Spheros is Musar. So I said, so what's Kabbalah? Okay. So he says, Partzufim is Kabbalah. So I have a psak from a gadol. Spheros is not Kabbalah, and Partzufim is Kabbalah. So even though he talks here about Spheros and Partzufim, I'm just going to talk about Spheros. I'm not going to talk about Partzufim.
You tell us what Partzufim is.
Partzufim is I believe, I'll explain to you. I'm not going to talk about it, but I'll explain to you. So there's 10 Spheros. There's 4 Elamais. I just want to tell you how the whole thing works, the diagram. There's 10 Spheros. There's 4 Elamais. Every Olam has 10 Spheros in it. And there's 5 Partzufim. So 5 Partzufim is another system, right? So 5 Partzufim, Keneged Yud K, Vav K, and the Kutzah Shel Yud. That's 5 Partzufim. Let's, for the sake of understanding this right now, let's say it's the interlock between the Elamas. Partzuf. The interlock, the outside, the Chitzonius. Interface, thank you.
Each of the spheres also.
Right. They're called, just so you know, this is the Kabbalah we're not going to learn. The 5 Partzufim are called Abba, Ima, Zer Anpim, Nukva, Arich Anpim, Abba, Iba, Zer Anpim, Nukva. And as much as we can't understand it,
That's 4.
what?
Oh.
Arich Anpim,
Oh.
way up on top, Abba, Ima, Zer Anpin, and Nukva. Nukva obviously is the makabel of it all, and that's where it hits ground. Let me explain something, Murdic, which the Goin makes it so simple for us, because all that, what does that mean? Abba, Ima. But, and I just want to explain this, but what we're learning so far is that every world that we're in the world of Asiya, obviously, you can connect to the world of Yetzirah. And the more technical is that the top of the world that we live in, the top, which is called, of the 10 spheres, the top of the 10 spheres, which is called Keser, the Malchus, the bottom. Keser, so Keser connects to the Malchus of Yetzirah. Okay, the math is easy, the diagram is easy, I can draw it up for you, but it's very simple, right? So, but the guy, the Vilna Gaon, who was really not known for it, I don't think, but was really the Makubal of the generation. I think he was like really the Makubal, the Reb Chaim Volozhin's Rebbe. So he explains, you can see the system very easily. It says the Vilna Gaon, he says this in Tikkunei Zayar and Vayikra at the beginning, right at the beginning of Vayikra, first page. He says that you can see this with every time you talk. Because every time you talk, there's a process that goes on. We don't think about it, unfortunately. We just talk. Blah 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 blah. Let's talk. But there's a system here that goes on. I mean, clearly, when you see some people talking, it's not part of any system. They're just talking. He doesn't know to talk. But the way the system works, it's just very simple. The way the system works, even on a cognitive level, is that the first thing that happens is there's a ratzon. Ratzon. The second thing that happens is that the ratzon turns into a machshava. Think about talking. I really want to say something here. Let me think about this. That's the order. I'm feeling something. Let's call it a feeling something. Ratzon. I want something to be done. I must speak up. So what am I speaking? First, it goes into the category of machshava. From machshava, it goes to the category of hirhur. From hirhur, it goes to the category of kollel, and from the kollel, it goes to the category of dibur. You should really write this down because it's important information.
Can we do that again?
Oh.
This is all within the kingdom of what?
Those are the parts of it, the Goin says. Like every time you talk, let's say it's a mashal, but it's also true. It happens to be a true mashal. So what happens is it starts off with, here's your five. Ratzon, machshava, hirhur, kollel, dibur. Very good. Eitan Yehuda. So by the time something comes, those he calls those the partsufim. So it doesn't make a difference. The partsufim is a confusing word. It could be like it's not a word for us. But what is clear is everybody understands that at least what's supposed to happen when you talk. We wouldn't talk so much if we went through this process every time. So you're starting with ratzon, it gets to machshava, it goes to hirhur, and then it goes to dibur, kollel rather. Remember we learned a couple weeks ago, we were learning by Matan Torah. Kollel Hashem b'koyach, Kollel Hashem b'hadar. Kollel is what the Nevi'im, right? Moshe Yedaber v'Elokim Yanenu b'Kollel. So there's dibur and there's kollel. The Yaris HaKollels. So kollel is not dibur. You don't see dibur. You can see kollel. So.
What's the difference in Machshav and Hirur?
Machshav
and Hirur, what's the difference?
Machshav and Hirur. Very good. Thank you. Very good. First of all, mikan, that Machshav and Hirur is not the same thing. That's the first thing. We put in the same thing. Machshav and Hirur.
What is Hirur?
Hirur means, well, that's what we got to explain, but Hirur means when you're thinking, and Machshava means when you're thinking. He's asking, what's the difference between Machshava and Hirur? Ratzon, we understand. Again, I just want to make it Ratzon, Machshava, Hirur, kollel, dibur. That's what happens, supposed to happen, every time I say a word.
It's so counterintuitive. Usually, the vernacular is that Hirur is just a thought, and then machshav is a thing.
So let's straighten this out because it's mamish wrong.
Right.
See, look at this. The Gemara says, Hirhure avera, koshem avera. The Gemara also says, machshava ra, loimet starf lemaisa, the chastira. Marsha asks, is a stira. I don't know anything the Marsha didn't know, but I'm just saying. Marsha says a stira. Hirur avera, kashem avera. It's worse to have hirur avera. Why that is a question unto itself. Kashem avera, who's actually doing the avera? Okay, you can understand because you do something, you can be misasik in doing. You can just do something without thinking. For instance, B'chal Shabbos without thinking, oh, turn on the light. You know, oh my gosh, what did I do? Turn on the light. Misasik. You can kill somebody, misasik. Shoygeg, whatever, misasik. Misasik b'chalovim v'harayos. Such a thing as even b'harayos, you can be misasik. Misasik b'chalovim v'harayos, possible. But hirhure avera, kashem avera. So why then, if hirhure avera worse than avera, why then is it that machshava ra, I'm thinking to do an avera, and I never actually do the avera. I'm thinking, I wake up in the morning and I'm thinking, I think I'm going to kill this guy. Right? I'm really going to kill him. You know how they train you in rabbi school. You know, very like psychology 101 minus 50. That's the training. But like the klal is like somebody comes to you and says, I want to commit suicide. So the correct thing to say or ask at that point is, do you have a plan? Because you want to get from machshava to hirur. Machshava, Rabbi's machshava is belevish. Could be it crosses our mind every day. Not me, Baruch Hashem, but there are people that are suicidal. Machshava. Machshava ra loy mitzaref l'maisa. Hirurim is more articulate. So what the answer to your question is, let's work with it for a second because it's so important, mamash so important, that machshava is, if I'm thinking a thought and I don't yet put words to those thoughts even in my mind, I don't yet give it form even in my mind, pass it like a thought. So that's machshava. Once let's use my example. I have a plan, even didn't speak it out. So I'm already in a bechina of hearer. I already gave it some level of gashmias. Hearer. So I'll give you a halachic example. The halacha is that hamaharer b'divrei Torah b'mkafais or b'mavuais hamtunafais aser. Aser to be maharer in divrei Torah in a place which is shmutzik, place which is dirty, bathroom, a dirty alley, something. Not allowed to be maharer b'divrei Torah. Say the paiskim machshava mutter. Now, it's very difficult for us, halacha l'maisa, to have machshava without hearer, because I don't know what machshava is, but there is two steps here. There's two steps in the process. One step is that I'm thinking divrei Torah. See, it's always good if you're thinking divrei Torah to bring it through the system and actually speak it out, because when you speak it out, you've brought it into the world of gashmias, and you see whether it makes any sense or not, whether it's a kehillat that holds water and it doesn't hold water. Look. Dibur. So Dibur is the furthest along. It already mamish, but right before Dibur there's Hirurim. So Hirurim, if you would want to see, the Gemara has a shayla like this. The Gemara says halachically, Hirurim kedibur dami, or Hirurim lav kedibur dami. Look at many things. Hirurim kedibur dami. If you have to communicate something to somebody else, obviously it's not kedibur. But there are many cases where the Gemara wants to know. He was Hirurim b'tshuva. There it talks about Hirurim b'tshuva. Doesn't talk about machshava b'tshuva. Everybody has machshava b'tshuva. Think about it. But Hirurim is when you have a plan. So Dilma Hirurim b'tshuva. You don't do vidui. Vidui needs dibur. But Dilma Hirurim b'tshuva. Hirurim is not machshava. It's a step further than machshava. Hirurim b'tshuva is not, like you say, a fleeting thought. That's machshava. So Hirurim is simply when I'm already formulating details, yeah, and a plan, and even words. So it's like this: if I walk into a makom metunaf, and my machshava is Kollel Torah, I'm imagining, like the Chazon Ish, the Chafetz Chaim, the Reb Chaim Brisker. What else did they think about? What else did they think? It was machshava. So, but Hirurim, to actually articulate in your mind, that's already here. Again, I don't know la halacha kach kibalti mi rabosai, that we don't know how to be machalik between machshava and Hirurim. We don't know how to do machshava without Hirurim. Don't confuse us, please. In other words, Chacham bin Das is part of the 10 spheres. So the 10 spheres, but let's learn the Goin for a second. So the Goin is saying that we can see the 5 partsufim in every time we talk, or we should see the 5 partsufim every time we talk. Ratzon, Machshava, Hirurim, Kollel, Dibur. Mars Shaila, Hirurim kedibur or not Hirurim kedibur? Lagabe, when the Torah is machayev a dibur, does Hirurim work? Machshava kedibur for sure not. Machshava kedibur is for sure not true.
Why does it start with Ratzon? Ratzon sounds like something much more like already engaging. Like I want something because I thought about it, I hear about it. Like,
do you think it's at the end, you mean?
It sounds like it should be somewhere in the middle, before.
So we learned, if you recall, that when we learned Timer Devara, that Ratzon is Kesser. So it means to say that it's not true what you're saying. In other words, at the end, and it's so significant that it's not true, because at the end, Ein Davar Oimed B'Bnei HaRatzon. By Ratzon is what starts the whole thing. Once you start that process going, it's like very, very difficult to stop. That's why, like, let's say the process of Dibur. So the process of Dibur, I went through Ratzon, I went through Machshava, I went through Hirur, and now it's about to come out of my mouth, and it's Lashon Hara. So says the Goin, Chol HaChoisem Pi, it's already engaged, it's already coming, go stop it now. It's already like way down the tube with a lot of pressure and a lot of weight. It's there already, go stop it now. If you can do that, Zeichel La'or, Hagonu Shein Kol Bria Yechol Liskos By says the Goin, this is a fantastic amount of strength. But the Ratzon, Chazal tells, Ratzon is where it all begins. Let's not fool ourselves to think that I've developed a Ratzon. I have a Ratzon, and if you really want to influence somebody, it's not about influencing their machshav or their hearer, their dibur, say this, don't say that. It's the wrong thing. It's not going to work educationally. You have to really deal with the Ratzon. You are what you want. It's the Ratzon. If you get access to Ratzon of yourself or another person, then you can make some really fundamental changes. See, let me just explain a couple of things. I'd say it as a mashal, but also becomes clear according to what we're learning here. The Gemara says, "Bereishis bara Elokim." Torah says that. Bereishis bara Elokim. Ratzah Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? Livrei es ha'olam b'midas hadin. Rosh ein ha'olam miskayim shitef imay midas harachim. So he starts off with midas hadin. He goes to midas harachim. And everybody, all the Mefarshim on the block, they want to know what's the Kadosh Baruch Hu first this way, first taught that way.
Shitef or hiktim? Is it shitef or hiktim?
Shitef. Shitef, you might be disarach. That's Lashon. Shitef. What's your other choice?
Hiktim.
No. Shitef. It's a combination. The pshat is that Ratzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu Livrei Ha'olam, the Ratzon Hashem is Midas Hadin. The Machshava of Hashem is Midas Hadin, Kiviyachol. Allah b'Machshava. So you get to Allah Machshava. The actual articulation of the world, let's call it the Hirur, the Kol, the Dibur, the Lamaisa, the world of Asiya, so there already he puts some Rachmim, Rosh Ein Ha'olam Miskayim. This is not going to work. So the change took place, Kiviyachol. See, all the parts you want to say was Kadosh Baruch Hu thinking too late, can't he make up his mind? But it's different parts of the Kiviyachol, the mind of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, or the process of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So the Ratzain is one thing, and the articulation is another thing, which comes from Rachmanis. But the actual, so the Svarim say, or Tzaddik, Pri Tzaddik, Bereshis, others say, that the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to create the world with Midas HaDin should not be lost on us, because even though that's Tachlis, that's not the way it works, but the fact of the matter is that is the Ratzon Hashem. That is the Ratzon Hashem. So therefore Yaakov Avinu, what does Yaakov Avinu say? V'yeh Hashem li lelekim. Yaakov Avinu says Hashem is already the articulated, the Rachamim already has the Rachamim in it, but Yaakov Avinu took upon himself Midas Hadin. Why? Why did he do that for him? Was he a masochist? Right. Well, because that's really the Ratzon Hashem. Now, when you come to a Madrega where it's not just this on a freebie, it's a professor. He wants to really do the Ratzon Hashem, the Ratzon Hashem. So here's Hashem's. So Hashem, let's tell him, Al Tira Avdi Yaakov. As we sing every month of Shabbos, Al Tira Avdi Yaakov. We should sing. So that's really the Yaakov Avinu, Shema Yigroim Hachet. He was always worried about Shema Yigroim Hachet. See, I'll tell you Hashem's lesson in Kabbalah. To Moshe Rabbeinu, famous Gemara. Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to Shamayim, by Hersing now, goes up to Shamayim, and he sees Rabbi Akiva dying Al Kiddush Hashem, being tortured to death Al Kiddush Hashem. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, listen to how beautiful this Gemara is. Moshe Rabbeinu says, Zutaira Zuschara, and this is what Rabbi Akiva gets for a whole life of learning Torah. And Kodesh Baruch Hu says, shtok, Dibur, shtok. Kach Allah b'machshava lefanai. It's beautiful or not? Shout in the Gemara. You're Moshe Rabbeinu talking about a madrega of Dibur. Shtok. This is not the normal articulation of the way the world works. Zu Torah v'zu schara. Where are you holding? So let me tell you something. Kach Allah b'machshava. What's the machshava? Sheratza HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The ratzon and the machshava of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is livra Yisraelim b'midas hadin. And Akiva, which name Akiva comes from Yaakov, yeah? Same name. It's the Aramaic version of Yaakov. Akiva. Akiva, Rabbi Akiva, the reason also the Gilgul of Yaakov, it was Makabel on himself to meet his Hadin. So, because Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, where are you holding? Shtok. First thing is, stop with the Dibur. You're talking, very, just, everything's relative. So, because Baruch Hu talking to Moshe, talking a very low madrega, Moshe. Shtok. Let's work up. The machshava of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Midas Hadin. So Rabbi Akiva was happy to do Midas Hadin, happy to do the Ratzon Hashem, like his for Gilgul Yaakov Avinu.
Even for Midas Hadin, you can ask Zotarah v'zu schara. I mean, like, the same question makes sense.
Well, it makes sense to me. To me, it's logical, although I'm not holding there, but it's logical to say that ultimately, what does it mean? Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted to create the world with Midas Hadin. What does it mean? It means right. Everything should be right. Everything should be done correctly. So there was a chet. There was chet. Rabbi Akiva wasn't. What was Yaakov Avinu worried about? Shema Yigram Achet. David HaMelech wrote the whole Tillim. He was worried about the chet of Bathsheba. That's what he was worried about. The whole Tillim was written about Bathsheba. Shuvi nafshi l'nuchaychi. By the way, if there was anything wrong, if Yaakov Avinu did a chet, Akiva did a chet, and the Kabbalim are very busy with exactly what he was worried for. But let's say, all right, I don't get involved in the chet for Akiva, but maybe it was the chet to the door. But the point is, he is surrounded by a lot of tzaros, like not just his Kiddush Hashem, but he lost Chavdal Elov Talmidim. He preferred to live. I don't know if it's for us to go into his Midas Hadin, but Zutar Zuschar, Moshe Rabbeinu was saying, what happened to the whole process of overlooking Chatoim and Shitavim Mitzvahs Rachim? So when we're talking about Schar, we're talking about the Kodesh Baruch Hu, Rachmanus. So he said that if you're living on the actual world, so Kach Allah b'machshava lefanai. Shtoik, so he wasn't telling him, Moshe, shut up. It was shtok. Leave the place of Dibur, even the place of Hirur, because those are all articulation. Well, move to the place of machshava. I hope I'm explaining this well. You see, the sefer HaYetzirah begins that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world with Oisius. There's a Rav Kook, Alav Shalom, starts his sefer Oiros with this quote from the sefer HaYetzirah that Kol Olam Nivra Ba'Oisios. Reb Tzadok begins two of his farm with this idea of Kol Olam Nivra Ba'Oisios. What does it mean, Oisios? Why should the world be? So they have these paintings of letters flying all over the world and flying all over from the Shemayim, and turning into letters, and turning into worlds. But the shot is that if you go through the cognitive process of Ratzon, you don't have a world yet with Ratzon. Ratzon Hashem. Machshava, you don't have a world. Where does the world actually begin? The world actually begins at the Bechin of Hirur, when this starts to take shape. And an ois is the very first piece of Gashmius that there is in this world, because an ois, and we're learning on Friday night here that even the oisius themselves are divided into many oisius, and Aleph is 3 oisius, right? Yud, Vav. So the oisius doesn't have a meaning yet. don't think there's any one, in English there's one letter, oisius, in Hebrew there's no letter, one letter. Huh?
I.
I what?
I is a one-letter word.
In Hebrew?
In English.
Yeah, A. There's many, but in Hebrew, and it's interesting, in Hebrew they're not any one letter. So the ice, we say that when the sefer here says that the world was nivra me ois yois, it means the ice is the first articulation of Ice doesn't have any meaning. An ice doesn't add up to a word. It doesn't add up certainly to a sentence, or not to a paragraph, and not to a machshava. Right? There's nothing articulate about it, but it's the first articulation of the world. Is Hakadosh Baruch Hu taking his ratzon, going to machshava, going through hirur, and then koil, and that's where nevuah comes, accessing these oisias. So again, I'm not explaining any of this for the simple reason I don't understand it. But I can understand it on some level. You can understand it, but I'm just understanding the chart, the how the whole thing works. Now it means to say, let's end with this and then we'll continue. It means to say, and that's why I'm going to get to the hasaga also. That it means to say that what would be very smart is, okay, Rabbi Akiva went all the way up to the world of machshava. Mashma more than Moshe Rabbeinu. Even though Rabbi Akiva was after Moshe Rabbeinu, but it was more than Moshe Rabbeinu. But he went all the way to Kach, all of machshava tchila. Eza machshava, the machshava of Ratzah Livrayis Ha'olam Midas Hadin. That machshava, that's the machshava of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Before he was Meshatev Imai Midas Harachamim. So, but a little bit we can say this. We can say, okay, this is what we're supposed to be doing. And this is the rules, or we can say to ourselves, which is a very good thing to do. I think, like let's think for a second, like what's really work all the way up to the top. What's really the Ratzon Hashem? I'm not suggesting anybody breaks any rules, but I'm saying what really is the Ratzon Hashem, because I'm saying there's such a thing as an Aveira Lishma. So what's an Aveira Lishma? Where you're doing the Ratzon, but you're not doing the Lamaisa. That's what it means, an Aveira Lishma. But I'm not even saying that. I'm not saying to do an Aveira Lishma. I'm saying sometimes, like I was Makabel, that sometimes you're doing something, it's a halacha, and it just doesn't make any sense. It can't be right. How could this be what Hashem wants? So, and echanami, tzarich b'dika. Yeah, if you come up with a din which doesn't feel right, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but this is really what a posek is supposed to be able to do, is to say, like, it has to, if it's acrobatics, it's usually wrong. You can usually find the toes in the halach. It can't be such a thing. I mean, it could be, but it's not likely that it's such a thing. It has to somehow line up with the Ratzon Hashem. If we know the Ratzon Hashem, so it's a smart thing. But I'm not even talking about, let's not even a halacha, but just stop in our regular everyday hanaga. So like the idea is to get hooked up to the cart should be hooked up to the horse over here. So when you're hooked up, that my asiya is hooked up to the world of Yetzirah, which is hooked up to the world of Bria, which is hooked up to the world of Atzilus. So there's the big hookup. So you have the continuity of the whole process, and now you're getting a healthy lifestyle and a healthy life. So Nefesh Hachaim explains it. So I want to explain it, but that's how the whole system works.
Can you just repeat the math again? 10 spheres with the 4, the 5, or
What do you want to know?
I want to write it down. How does that all math work?
I'll send you a chart. Let me send a chart, because
in the guns,
I took a picture of a chart.
Guns analogy, it sounds much more accessible.
Guns?
It sounds much more accessible, to be able to affect our own ratzon. It seems much more accessible than talking about the Partsufim in a very broad level. So is there an avoda changing your ratzon?
Oh, that's a very good point. I think we need to talk about. I think that's what he talks about, actually. Let me just get the picture.